Right now, funding is fully available for the 2024 capital budget that has been finalized and is in the gateway up to September. Funding is available for a portion, and the other portion, the plan is to roll it over to 2026 budget. Likewise, for the 2025 capital budget, funding has been made, warrants have been issued, and funding is available for 30% of that budget, with the plan, with the cooperation and the support of the National Assembly to roll over the 75%. When we look at borrowing, we have roughly 152 trillion naira outstanding. And that figure was about 70 trillion naira in 2023 or so. But what accounts for the difference? 30 trillion, as we all know, was the bringing into the light, bringing into the books of the government of ways and means that were previously just ignored and kept outside. Another 50 trillion was accounted for by the fact that the exchange rate doubled. I mean, central bank in its monetary policy focused on clearing backlogs and bringing in foreign reserves, and we know how successful they have been. So of 152 trillion naira, 80 was essentially not new borrowing, it was more regularization and adjustment.
All mentioned here today that we have 2024, we are in 2025, but you have 1 year revenue, use it to manage 2-year budget. So even if you met the 1 year revenue, how will you hear the Honorable Minister say, I'm paying 2024, whereas you are taking 2025 revenue to pay 2024. So when Mr. President said, when we said, because as of the work we've all done, that we've met revenue target, which is annually, but you are using 1 year revenue to manage more than 1 year budget. That is why you are seeing the outstanding, and which is what Honorable Minister is trying to do. That now let's have a consolidated budget. So because if I have 1 year revenue, let me use it to manage 1 year expenditure. But in a situation that I have a year revenue to manage multi-years revenue expenditure, we will continue to have this imbalance.
Macroeconomic reforms, some of the measures we have taken have implications that were not immediately obvious. The impact of the 22.7 trillion naira securitization is still being felt in terms of interest costs, particularly rising interest costs. But more importantly, not only rising interest costs, almost the inability to go to the central bank when we have demand beyond the legal.
Ẹni òfò ni ẹ ṣòfò láyé ẹ tún sí lálìkìyàmà ẹ̀yin rádaràda wọ̀nyí. Ẹni òfò ni ẹ ṣòfò láyé ẹ tún sí lálìkìyàmà ẹ̀yin rádaràda wọ̀nyí.
Professional criminals like Nigeria has never operated two budgets from 1 year to another ever before, until Kolu and his Baranda boys, Lagos boys, until they came into the picture and they started doctoring the book, cooking it, and using some of these funny grammars. You know what I mean? Using funny grammars to make it look more or less like, you know, they are making any sense at all. But they're not. We are using 2025 revenue to fund 2024. But guess what? When you look at their supposed budget very well, which is mostly copy and paste, So if you have a budget that says, okay, we are planning to generate 100 naira, but you know what? We only generated a 60 naira, which means our budget performed maybe 50% or 55%. So what that means is that any unfinished project will be listed as continuum, Abi. You don't say it is 2024 budget. No. You will close it in that 2024 and 2025 when you know that, oh, we still need to spend another 10 naira on this project too. So we have to move it to 2025. So you will capture it under 2025. But because it is all baranda, it is all kind of like, scam. The more you look, the less you see, It shouldn't be so difficult. Like, it should be straightforward. Like, those who are dealing with accounts when they are not being dubious, like being shady, they should be able to explain it so easier. They should be able to make it understandable, right? But not these guys. You have no idea what has befallen that Nigeria under these guys. This morning, I believe, a PDP House of Representative member from Sokoto dropped one bombshell. He said, the tax laws or the tax bill they debated and passed and gave to Kolu is quite different from the one that Kolu signed and gazetted, because they are beginning to kind of like feel some strange things or strange sort of like a section of the supposed national new tax law in Nigeria, because they never had anywhere that Nigeria will be signing an MOU with another country when it comes to modernizing your tax or tax collection data, this and that. Like, why is France signing an MOU that is not public? National Assembly have no clue what is in that MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between France and Nigeria. But these guys are telling them that, no, don't worry, everything is all right. Mr. President know that what we are doing and the rest of that. But come back to this money issue. So they met the supposed Nigeria debt at 78 trillion naira. Now they are having and you see that figure is also a lie. Nigeria's debt is now 150 something trillion naira. That's not true. If you convert Nigeria's debt, local and foreign, convert everything together, Nigeria's total debt right now is over 500 trillion naira. Quote me anywhere. And that is no thanks to your devalued naira, which is also deliberate, if you know the history of that. So Nigeria is in so much debt. But at the same time, Nigeria is making so much money that they don't really have to tell you. You have no idea how much is Nigeria making from crude oil, do you? We used to know that. Where they used to give us figures. These days, nobody knows how much Nigeria is making from crude oil. How much crude oil Nigeria is selling right now. No idea. How much has the Central Bank of Nigeria printed for Kolu in the name of a ways and means that they have managed to ensure that the people no longer pay attention to? How much has Kolu given to these oil marketers? Well, not many of them. How much millions or billions of dollars have crossed hands in this their shady dollar subsidy for fuel importers to Nigeria? All of these are going to come to light later, just like we are right now, realizing that they are begging the National Assembly to help or allow them to, because they've been getting that. They got it in 2023, they got it in 2024, and obviously going to get it now as well. These same guys are also preparing what should be 2026 budget. And guess what? They are also going to tell you, they are banking on their new tax law, which is going to kick off in the next few weeks, by the way. So they're banking on that's going to make them a lot of money. And somehow, maybe they will use that to bridge the gap, the budgetary, fraud that they have been doing. Bridge it at some point. But there is nothing that is going to be enough for their greed. That's one thing about greed. Nothing is going to be enough because the greed that finally created this gap is probably like so bigger than what they can imagine, right? So yeah, they are looking forward to 2026, writing budget on that. And yet, 2025 budget, with what they told you in 2024, could only be funded up to the tune of 25%. That is the worst. But they are not ashamed of it. They practically told the National Assembly that, you know what? Yeah, we will fund it next year, which means these same guys are going to present a budget that could be like 100 trillion naira, 100 trillion naira 2026. And they are expecting all of you to give them maybe 90 trillion naira. They will tax poverty. You get not prosperity, so to say. But they are lying to you right now that no, they are, they are not going to tax the poor, they say. But here, sorry, one sec. Yeah.
42, which does not need any exhaustive deliberations. So I would say that your point of order is sustained. However, you have to know it's not only politicians that they...
We will come back to that. Let's see this Sokoto lawmaker that dropped that bombshell. We'll come back to that one.
Or breach of privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee of Ethics and Privileges. Still, if the matter is raised in the Committee of the Whole, the chairman shall leave the chair on the order to report progress. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm here today because my privilege has been breached as a member of this all-important House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we passed the tax laws on this floor, and Mr. Speaker, I took my time in the last 3 days to look at the gazetted past copy, the vote and proceedings of the House of Representatives, and also went an extra mile to look at the vote and proceedings of the Senate of what was harmonized. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have all the copies, but I'm coming under privilege because I was here, I gave my vote, and it was counted, and I'm seeing something completely different. So on that note, on this privilege, I will call on Mr. Speaker to graciously look at what was harmonized, what is in the gazetted copy, what was passed in the House and the Senate. You will find out what is before Nigerians, which is being sold to Nigerians at the Ministry of Information, which I personally went to buy the gazetted copies, are not what was passed. So there is no motion here, but Mr. Speaker, I'll be pleading that all the documents should be brought before the Committee of the Whole. The whole members should see what is in the gazetted, should see what they passed on the floor, so that we can make the relevant amendments. Mr. Speaker, this is the breach of the Constitution, this is the breach of our laws, and this should not be taken by this honorable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Abdul Samad. Your observation is noted and action will be taken. I assure you that. Thank you.
No, there's nothing that will be done. Do you even understand what that means, right? That is an impeachable offense. National Assembly passed a supposed law, and they took a bill to law. They took it to the president, which would then sign it, assent to it as law, only to discover that, hang on, yeah, he signed what we took to him, but what got gazetted into the government gazette, which is actually what would authorize, or should I say, authorize the supposed law to give it real authority, so to say, it's completely different. They've inserted this and that, right? So he went as far as buying the copies they approved and the one printed by the Ministry of Information. That is impeachable offense. Yeah. But who is going to impeach Kolu? Who is going to impeach Kolu? And you see all these abuse of your law, disobedient to court orders, and all these things as the record of those who are supposed to be respecting the law and obeying the law, will contribute to what many of you probably will call the support for those who want them out, and not just out, prosecuted for violating your own laws. But they are above it anyway. The other day, Kalu, through the office of Ribadom, approved the promotion of his own ADC to 1-star general. Somebody will no fight anything, will no get any direct contribution to the army, other than just standing behind TINUBU. And within 2 years, you want to make him a brigadier general. Now he's reversed it now. Yeah, they've reversed it. They said, okay, because yeah, some soldiers and what have you probably reached out to him like, why would you do that? You know, now they've reversed it and said, no, it's not being promoted to brigadier general. That's a fake news. No, it's not. In Abuja today, there is a park, or should we say, I call it park though, but it's an estate. It's called the River Park Estate in Abuja. So those of you who have probably who live in that area, yeah, this is just your story. Okay, put it that way, your story, right? So what happened? These people of it's kind of like a posh area, so if you say, like with a lot of residents. Okay, so they went to court when they realized that with the Wike's sort of like searchlight was coming their way. So this River Park Estate, I think it's in Lugbe. I've been at Lugbe in Abuja. So they said with the Wike sent his foot soldiers, okay, to go and tell them that they shouldn't have been there in the first place. So they're demolishing their houses. I mean, houses that have been there for more than a decade or 2 decades, so to say. But it is the same, it is the same, modus operandi, if you ask, right? All where the weekend needed is just to tell you that you are occupying the land illegally. Well, when you present your document and the rest of that, he is not interested. But this time around, there was no Yerima. There was a court order. And for many places in that same Abuja, who knows how Wike acts, court doesn't matter. Who is that judge that said that if Wike violated the court order, he would be punished for it? No, there is none. And this happened in Abuja today. I'll show you the court order too, but watch this first.
Everywhere is blocked. Nobody can even go out. It's a serious matter.
That's how they broke the fence. I should not make video. Maybe I should not make video. It intimidates who?